Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next hour. International Conference by Election Commission of India adopts Delhi Declaration 2025. Sounds a note of caution against fake narratives. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar meets Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto in New Delhi. He'll be the chief guest at India's 76th Republic Day celebrations. Donald Trump warns NATO to increase its defense spending to 5% of the GDP, suggests Saudi Arabia and OPEC nations to reduce oil prices to end the Russia-Ukraine conflict immediately. World Economic Forum meet comes to a close in Davos. President Jorge Brende urges all to work together despite differences. And in the Australian Open, Yannick Sinner sets up a summit final clash with Alexander Zverev after win in the semi-finals. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted in an at-home event with tribal guests, NCC cadets, NSS volunteers, Rashtriya Rangshala camp artists and tableau artists who would be a part of the upcoming Republic Day Parade on Sunday. Republic Day Parade 2025 will be a unique blend of India's cultural diversity and military prowess, with special focus on 75 years of the enactment of Indian Constitution and Jan Bhagidari. Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto is the chief guest at this year's Republic Day Parade, and he is in New Delhi. So these are the tableau artists, the various people involved in the grand parade of Republic Day. Kartavya Path will be witness to the military prowess of the nation and the cultural pageantry that will reflect our great heritage of the length and breadth of our country. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar called on visiting Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto in New Delhi on Friday. President Prabowo Subianto will be the chief guest for India's 76th Republic Day celebrations this year. During his visit, President Subianto will hold bilateral talks with India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday. He will also meet President of India Draupadi Murmu. This is President Prabowo's first visit to India in his capacity as president after assuming office in October 2024. The state visit of President Prabowo will provide an opportunity for the leaders to undertake a comprehensive review of bilateral ties as well as to discuss regional and global issues of mutual interest. Doordarshan, the public broadcaster of India, has made special arrangements for the live coverage of Republic Day Parade on 26th of January. Information and Broadcasting Ministry officials visited the site at Kartavya Path in New Delhi to take stock of the arrangements. DD India's Vishal Baristo reports.
India is all set to celebrate Republic Day Parade on January 26th. The day marks the adoption of India's constitution and the country's transition to a republic on January 26, 1950. The grand celebration will showcase country's cultural diversity and military strength, with a special focus on the 75th anniversary of the enactment of Indian constitution and the theme of Jan Bhagidari, which means people's participation. Two tableaux during the parade will showcase the celebration of 75 years of Constitution. Floral decorations, view cutters will be depicting the theme. Balloons at the end of the program will be released with the banner of this message. The chief guest for the parade will be Prabowo Subianto, President of Republic of Indonesia. The parade will feature a 160-member marching contingent and 190-member band from Indonesia, joining Indian Armed Forces contingents on Kartavya Path in national capital, New Delhi. India's public broadcaster Doordarshan will telecast the entire event live for viewers across the globe. More than 50 cameras have already been set up for the mega event.
So the entire team of Prasar Bharati, both Doordarshan as well as All India Radio, and their all the constituent units, officers, staff, personnel, all of them have been working tirelessly to ensure that the telecast and the radio cast of this very important, the most important event of our country happens smoothly.
The event would be covered in 4K format and would also be aired on Doordarshan's OTT platform Waves.
Each time we try to do something better, something which has not been attempted in the past. So one of the things that we are doing this year on the Doordarshan coverage is that we are deploying full 4K cameras, where for the last 10 years we had been doing an HD coverage. But now in terms of the picture quality, this is going to be about 8 times better compared to previous years.
The parade commences at the iconic Raisina Hill near the Rashtrapati Bhavan or President's House and makes its way along Kartavya Path, past India Gate and concludes at the historic Red Fort. Each state will present its beautifully decorated tableau, showcasing its unique culture and traditions, truly embodying the spirit of Jan Bhagidari. From traditional dances to elaborate floral decorations, every element speaks volumes about unity that binds us despite our diversity. Along with Doordarshan, the All India Radio would also air live broadcast of the event. Vishal Baristow's report for GD India.
India's Foreign Secretary will be on a 2-day visit to Beijing for talks with Chinese Vice Foreign Minister. This visit follows recent diplomatic engagements aimed at restoring peace and strengthening bilateral ties between India and China. A report.
India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri is set to visit Beijing to hold talks with Chinese Vice Foreign Minister Hua Chunying. The discussions would cover a range of topics, including ways to de-escalate tensions along the line of actual control and also the resumption of the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra.
This visit is going to happen on 26th-27th of January. Foreign Secretary will be meeting his counterpart, the Vice Minister in China, where all issues of bilateral interest will be discussed, and that would include, I guess, Kailash Mansarovar Yatra as well.
This visit comes after a significant meeting last month between India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. The two, who also serve as special representatives, met in Beijing to address various issues, including the management of peace and tranquility along the line of actual control and efforts to restore bilateral relations. This marked the first SR-level meeting since tensions arose in the India-China border areas in 2020. The decision to revive the special representatives mechanism along with other dialogue formats was made during a meeting between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping in Kazan in October last year. The meeting came just 2 days after India and China finalized a disengagement pact ahead of the BRICS summit. Bureau Report, DD India.
On to other international news of the day. US President Donald Trump has tried to reshape the US political landscape during his first week back in the White House, seeking to deliver on his campaign promises. He has unleashed a blitz of executive orders on everything from mass deportations to the declassification of secret documents on the assassination of former President John F. Kennedy. What's even more interesting, that he has expressed willingness to meet Vladimir Putin immediately for an end to the Russia-Ukraine conflict.
Just 3 days after President Donald Trump was sworn into office, his administration launched a massive effort to combat illegal immigration. Authorities initiated what is being described as the largest deportation operation in US history, arresting 538 undocumented migrants and deporting hundreds more. This recent wave of executive orders marks the beginning of what is expected to be a series of significant policy shifts under President Trump's administration. India, meanwhile, reiterated its stand, saying country is against illegal immigration, especially because it is linked to several forms of organized crime.
we are against illegal immigration, especially because it is linked to several forms of organized crime. For Indians, not just in the United States, but anywhere in the world, we will take them back, provided documents are shared with us so that we can verify their nationality.
Meanwhile, a federal judge blocked Trump's attempt to restrict birthright citizenship, marking a win for liberal states against his hardline agenda. The judge ruled that Trump's executive order was unconstitutional, imposing a 14-day stay on its enforcement. The Trump administration vowed to appeal with the Department of Justice, insisting the order correctly interprets the U.S. Constitution.
President, a U.S. judge temporarily blocks the birthright citizenship order. Do you have any reaction?
No, obviously we'll appeal it. They put it before a certain judge in Seattle, I guess, right? And there's no surprises with it.
Donald Trump also called for an immediate end to the conflict in Ukraine and threatened tariffs, taxes, and sanctions on Russia if President Vladimir Putin refuses to negotiate a resolution to the conflict.
Good. And I think they have a lot of power over Russia, so I think Russia should want to make a deal. Maybe they want to make a deal. I think from what I hear, Putin would like to see me, and we'll meet as soon as we can. I'd meet immediately. Every day we don't meet, soldiers are being killed in a battlefield. And that battlefield is like no battlefield since World War II.
In response to his statement on ending conflict in Ukraine, Kremlin on Friday said Russian President Vladimir Putin is ready to hold a phone call with the US President Donald Trump and is waiting for confirmation from Washington. Trump shifted his tone from the pledges made during his campaign, stating this week that he would rather not impose tariffs on China. He also expressed his intention to rekindle the controversial diplomatic relationship with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un from his first term. With Ravindra Chauhan, Amit Mukherjee for DD India.
Kremlin said on Friday that the Ukraine war is about Russia's national security and not about oil prices. Kremlin's reaction came after US President Donald Trump called for a cut in the price of oil and said it may be helpful in resolving the Ukraine conflict. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said that the issues for Russia in Ukraine were about national security, threats to Russians living there, and the refusal of the United States and Europe to listen to Russia's concerns. Russian President Vladimir Putin has made it clear that he wants to restart nuclear arms cut talks as soon as possible, the Kremlin added on Friday. This statement has come in response to comments by US President Donald Trump on Thursday, where he had said that he wanted to work towards cutting nuclear arms, adding that he thought Russia and China might support reducing their own weapons capabilities. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said the ball was in Washington's court.
I want to remind you of President Putin's statement that Russia considers it necessary to restart talks on disarmament as soon as possible, especially since the legal framework regarding arms control has been undermined. This was not the fault of the Russian Federation. The United States ended their participation in treaty and in fact undermined the very existence of this legal framework.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. India showcases its greatest strengths, cooperative federalism and unity in diversity at the World Economic Forum in Davos. India's premier space agency ISRO is all set for its 100th rocket launch on 29th of January. And scientists at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology develop advanced robotic insects that can aid farming through artificial pollination.
India, that is Bharat, shall be a sovereign democratic republic.
Take a decision in common and march in a cooperative way on that road which is bound to lead us to unity.
All that we require is honesty of purpose, firmness of determination, a desire to understand each other's viewpoints,
birthright of equity and equal opportunity in this country.
DD India takes you back in time and takes you back to the golden era from where it all started. DD India presents before you We the People of India, India's constitution and its legacy.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Tanvi Taneja. The international conference convened by the Election Commission of India adopted the Delhi Declaration 2025. The declaration reiterates commitment to adopt measures to keep election processes free, fair and transparent. The participants also sounded a note of caution against fake narratives. The conference themed Global Election Year 2024, Reiteration of Democratic Spaces, Takeaways for Election Management Bodies was attended by representatives of 13 countries.
Convened by the Election Commission of India, the international conference titled Global Election Year 2024, Reiteration of Democratic Spaces, Key Takeaways for EMBs concluded in New Delhi on Friday. The conference deliberated on various aspects of election management.
We must use the entire technological innovations to ensure that every voter gets into the roll and is taken from roll to poll. Simplifying voter registration, ensuring accessible polling stations, and offering multilingual voter education are essential steps towards empowering marginalized communities. Technology makes these possible.
The heads and representatives of election management bodies of countries of the world also adopted Delhi Declaration 2025. They declared and resolved that we will keep our undiluted focus on the centrality of the voter and their rights in election space, and do everything in our means to facilitate them in the electoral process. That we will take up proactive interventions of voter education and electoral participation for increased registration and turnout of voters. That we will engage in a determined fight to keep the election process free, fair, and transparent. That robust judicial mechanisms must be put in place to deal with post-election grievances. That we will pursue the path of technological integration and innovation to make our operations more efficient and effective. That we will vigorously resist all fake narratives that may be created to undermine the electoral process. More specifically, a working group will be constituted of all willing EMBs worldwide for dealing with issues of social media, artificial intelligence, and cybersecurity. Participants also sounded a note of caution against fake narratives which erode trust in electoral processes.
It was clear from the discussions that there are some common challenges that all election management authorities will face, including around the impact of social media, AI, etc. And by coming together, sharing experiences and perspectives, developing a common perspective, I think it will really help election authorities in the future as they fulfill their responsibilities.
The conference was attended by nearly 30 representatives from the election management bodies of 13 countries. With inputs from Fazel Ahmed, Bureau Report, DD India.
The 2025 World Economic Forum in Davos concluded today, bringing together political and business leaders from around the world. The event was marked by a strong call for unity, critical discussions on global crises, and a headline-grabbing speech by US President Donald Trump. Here's a breakdown of the key moments from this year's World Economic Forum.
The 5-day World Economic Forum concluded with a powerful message to global leaders to set aside their differences and collaborate to address pressing challenges such as climate change, the rise of artificial intelligence,
driving economic growth, reducing carbon emissions, finding ways to end conflict, all cannot wait. And the only way to progress on these issues is by working together. But our cooperative approaches may need to adapt to a new, more uncertain era. There is a new political reality that we are faced with.
A A significant highlight of the forum was US President Donald Trump's virtual speech to the global stage. President Trump expressed a strong desire to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin in the near future, aiming to secure peace in the almost 3-year-old conflict with Ukraine.
One thing very important, I really would like to be able to meet with President Putin soon and get that war ended. And that's not from the standpoint of economy or anything else. It's from the standpoint of millions of lives are being wasted.
Trump argued that lowering energy costs could be a key factor in ending the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine.
I'm also going to ask Saudi Arabia and OPEC to bring down the cost of oil. You got to bring it down, which frankly, I'm surprised they didn't do before the election. That didn't show a lot of love by them not doing it. I was a little surprised by that. If the price came down, the Russia-Ukraine war would end immediately.
At World Economic Forum, India also showcased its greatest strengths, cooperative federalism and unity in diversity.
The diversity that we represent here, we also represent the unity within this entire diverse group. Our purpose is to make sure our country gets that position which it deserves, and we will all work together going forward as one team. Despite all the disruptions and issues that the world is facing, India has emerged as a very trusted country.
This year's forum tackled a range of critical issues, including the Ukraine conflict, escalating tensions in the Middle East, advancements in artificial intelligence, and the urgent need to combat climate change. However, much of the focus remained on the international impact of the early days of President Trump's administration, which continues to drive significant global attention and debate.
India's premier space agency, ISRO, is all set for its 100th launch. The mission is likely to take place on 29th of January. It will be a GSLV mission for navigation satellite. In an exclusive conversation with DD India's Shubhendu Ghosh, ISRO's new chairman, Dr. V. Narayanan, said that the space agency has come a long way from its humble origins, and this upcoming milestone is a matter of great pride for all Indians.
ISRO is set for its 100th mission and launch. What can you tell us about it, and how does it pave the road ahead?
In fact, it is to think itself, it is a very so exciting to think. 1979, we had the first SLV rocket launch. Of course, we had a small setback in that, and then 80, we had the first successful SLV-3. From that, we have come a long way. From Sriharikota, from 3 launch sites, this is the 100th launch. It is the Mark II vehicle called F-15 vehicle. Through that vehicle, we are going to place the second generation navigation satellite, NVS-02, which is having our indigenous atomic clock and which is going to be used for lot of purpose, navigation purpose. That is the launch what we have targeted on 29th of this month. So it is going to be a major milestone. A country which started with a very humble beginning, almost 62 years back, and moving rockets in bicycles that time, and the satellite for experiment through bullock carts. From that era, please imagine, we have come a long way serving the country, and we are going to have the 100th launch. It is thinking itself, it is quite exciting, and it is going to be accomplished. It's a great milestone for the entire country. So every citizen can be proud of that milestone also.
Right. You can watch this exclusive interview with Dr. V. Narayanan, Chairman ISRO, on Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. That is 3 p.m. GMT, only on DD India. Moving on, 24th January is celebrated annually as International Day of Education. The day celebrates the pivotal role of education for bringing global peace and sustainable development. In India, education is undergoing a transformative journey driven by the National Education Policy NEP 2020, which aims to revolutionize learning for millions. DD India's Kriti Vadhera has more.
India, a land of ancient learning traditions, has long been a global hub for knowledge. From the Nalanda University to the modern education system, India's commitment to education has been unwavering. The introduction of National Education Policy 2020 has marked a significant milestone. NEP 2020 focuses on holistic, inclusive, and multidisciplinary education for all, aligning India's education system with global standards. The policy emphasizes on early childhood education, flexible curriculum, multidisciplinary approach towards learning, vocational training, and digital learning.
It's the first time that we've really explored something that is so culturally sound as removing language as a barrier for education very meaningfully. There have been many commissions which have proposed it earlier, but to propose it to the extent that the new NEP has done is rather profound and very welcome for me. Each region has a cultural flavor to it. To recognize that cultural flavor and to promote it through education is a brilliant idea. It looks at education through the 5 koshas, which is so much more wholesome than was earlier.
In last 5 years, the major impact of NEP has been a gradual but definite shift from the rote-based memory or memory-based learning to competency-based learning. Earlier, we were testing students, assessing students on what they know. But now, gradually, the schools and education system is stressing more on competency-based, what they can do, how much they can apply the knowledge they have gained. So, experiential learning and hands-on learning, project-based learning has been introduced in, I believe, all schools. This has also made education more engaging for the students.
NEP 2020 envisions an education system that not only builds a skilled workforce but also nurtures critical thinking, creativity, and global citizenship. As India marches towards becoming a knowledge superpower, the transformative reforms of education under NEP 2020 are paving the way towards more educational, equitable, and empowered society. With camera person Anand Kumar, I am Kriti Vadhera, reporting from New Delhi for DD India.
India on Friday condoled the death of an Indian fisherman who died in Karachi jail on January 23rd. He was arrested by Pakistani authorities in 2022. He was the 8th Indian fisherman who died in Pakistan in the last 2 years. Till now, 180 Indian fishermen who completed their sentences await release from Pakistan. India has been continuously raising the issue of early release of prisoners with Pakistan. The first 3-day International Pashmina Festival cum exhibition organized by Nepal Pashmina Industries Association and the Confederation of Nepalese Industries has drawn the attention of consumers towards delicate, lightweight and warm natural fiber obtained from Changra or Pashmina goat. Nepal is one of the prominent producers of authentic Pashmina, known for its unique softness and warmth. The exhibition, which will run until January 25th, showcases over 150 domestic stalls, with more than 40 stalls showcasing pure Nepali Pashmina.
Pashmina has to be harvested from Himalayas with great effort, which is why it costs so much. While Pashmina wool is also available in foreign countries, Nepal's produce is very unique.
Next, we take a look at what else is making news around the world. Scientists from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology have developed advanced robotic insects that could aid farming through artificial pollination. This technology could significantly boost crop yields in multi-level warehouses by providing a more efficient method for artificial pollination to tackle the issue of food security. An ice skating ring in Ireland's Dublin was destroyed due to high-speed winds from Storm Eowyn. The storm battered Ireland and Northern Ireland on Friday, leaving almost 1/3 of Irish homes and businesses without power and forcing cancellation of hundreds of flights and the closure of schools and public transport. Cambodians wore face masks and took precautions on Friday as air quality levels in the capital Phnom Penh plummeted to unhealthy levels, according to air monitoring organization IQ Air. Early on Friday, IQ Air indicated that the air quality reading was at 198, making it the second most polluted city in the world behind Dhaka, Bangladesh. You're with us on DD India News Hour, still to come on the show. US President Donald Trump says he is not sure that US should be spending anything on NATO. We discussed that possibility with our expert. India's Defence Research and Development Organization, DRDO, tests an air-droppable container for emergency supplies at sea during operations. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. US President Donald Trump repeated his demands for NATO members to spend 5% of their gross domestic product GDP on defense, a huge increase from the current 2% goal and a level that no NATO country, including the United States, currently reaches. Analysts say a 5% figure would be both politically and economically impossible for almost all members.
Ladies and gentlemen,
US President Donald Trump warned Europe during his first address at the World Economic Forum at Davos after making a comeback to the White House. He asked NATO allies to raise defense spending to 5% of the GDP and threatened tariffs on companies not manufacturing in the US.
I'm also going to ask all NATO nations to increase defense spending to 5% of GDP, which is what it should have been years ago.
Donald Trump made it abundantly clear that Washington no longer wants to spend billions and billions of dollars to finance Europe's defense through NATO. He even remarked that the US was protecting NATO members, but they were not protecting the US.
They're not protecting us, we're protecting them. So I don't think we should be spending, I'm not sure we should be spending anything, but we should certainly be helping them.
Washington financed nearly 16% of the 32-member military alliance's yearly expenditure of around $3.5 billion in 2024. That is the joint largest share alongside Germany. 8 NATO members do not meet the current 2% target. Trump's remarks thus were a direct challenge to European leaders, many of whom have faced domestic opposition to military budget increases. EU's top diplomat Kaja Kallas and Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk have agreed that Europe needs to arm itself if it is to survive.
President Trump is right to say that we don't spend enough. It's time to invest. We need to relay a message that we are serious about our commitment.
Beyond bureaucracy, Trump took aim at EU's trade policies, accusing the bloc of treating American goods unfairly.
From the standpoint of America, the EU treats us very, very unfairly, very badly. They have a large tax that we know about.
Trump's message was simple: produce in America or face consequences. He announced that companies manufacturing within the United States will benefit from a substantial corporate tax reduction.
My message to every business in the world is very simple. Come make your product in America and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth. But if you don't make your product in America, which is your prerogative, then very simply you will have to pay a tariff.
EU, on its part, put up a defensive stance to deal with the Republican president's threats to slap tariff on European products and said it was open to discussing purchases of energy and arms from the United States to ward off tariffs.
Well, we are ready to defend our interests and rights if it becomes necessary. You remember from the first Trump administration when they introduced the tariffs against European steel and aluminium, we responded in a proportionate way.
Analysts say a 5% defense spending figure would be politically and economically impossible for almost all members. But Trump's rhetoric at Davos have echoed the tariff dispute of his first term, raising concerns that a fresh US-EU trade conflict could be on the horizon. Bureau Report, DD India.
And to talk more about this, Ambassador Mohan Kumar, former Indian senior diplomat, joins us on the show now. Welcome, sir, to the program. Well, US President Donald Trump has asked all NATO members in Europe to increase their defense spending to 5% of the GDP, saying that the current situation is unfair to the US. Well, what does the NATO treaty say on defense spending?
Well, you know that the NATO doesn't prescribe a quantitative figure, but the NATO is a collective security alliance, if you like. And one of the articles, the famous Article 5, says if a member of NATO is attacked, then the United States and the other NATO members will come to the help of that particular country which is attacked. But I think this business of the United States saying that the Europeans are not pulling their weight in NATO has been a long-standing issue. And I think the two things to note is something is fundamentally changing in terms of the United States, its relationship with NATO, and in turn its relationship with EU. I think the MAGA movement in the US believes that Europeans have a relaxed lifestyle, they have a welfare state, and so on, only because they are not spending on defense adequately, and the United States is underwriting their defense. And then Secretary of State designate Marco Rubio, in his Senate confirmation hearing last week, said US wants to be a backstop for aggression against Europe and does not want to be the bedrock of security architecture in Europe. That is very important because United States has absolutely been the bedrock of European security architecture since World War II. If that is going to change, then I think the Europeans will have to sit up and take notice. The 5% figure, how much of it is genuine, how much of it is bluster, we don't quite know with Trump. But the fact is there are 32 nations in NATO and only 23 of them are spending 2%. Even 2%, not all of the 32 are spending right now. So to ask all the 32 nations who belong to NATO to spend 5% of their GDP is a very, very tall ask. So frankly, I see this as the last nail in the coffin of the liberal international economic order, where the transatlantic relationship was the bedrock of the liberal international order. And that, I think, appears to be going away. So we can now definitively say goodbye to the liberal international order and start looking at a post-liberal international order. Trump is mainly or basically expediting this transition from a liberal international order to a very, very messy, unknown international order.
And why have as many as 8 NATO members failed to meet even the current 2% target of defense spending? And what do you make of the Polish Prime Minister's statement that Europe needs to arm itself if it is to survive?
No, there is a bit of double speak in this, frankly. The Europeans are facing their toughest economic crisis now. Cheap Russian energy is no longer available to Europe. Europe faces either a recession or a growth of just 1.4%. Budgets in countries like France are completely out of control. And as I said earlier, Europe has a welfare state because there is a lot of money which has to be spent just on taking care of pensions, the healthcare system, which is amazing, just the pensions, just the expenditure on social security. That takes a big part of the budget. And they are not used to spending so much on defense, quite frankly, because Nobody expected a war to take place in the heart of Europe. Putin has completely changed the paradigm in Europe that they will remain peaceful forever. So that is really the problem. Now, Polish Prime Minister can say that, listen, we need to arm ourselves, but Poland does not want to send troops to the border. If there is peace in Ukraine, Poland has said their soldiers will not be part of peacekeeping. So who is going to basically be part of peacekeeping operations in Europe? If there is a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia, it has to be the French, it has to be the Germans. So that really is the problem. It comes at a very, very bad time because the global economy is facing, except for United States, which is doing well, rest of the countries in the West are actually either facing a recession or a slowdown. And the economic center of gravity has shifted to the East, which means has shifted to China and a bit to India. So in these circumstances, asking these countries to spend 5% of GDP, I agree with your reporter that it is almost impossible for these countries to meet that target.
And on the purely economic front, President Trump has also said that EU treats America very unfairly because they have a large tax and quote a VAT tax. He said it's a very substantial one. How accurate is this statement?
Well, Trump has a way of looking at trade as a zero-sum game. So he is targeting EU, Canada and China and Mexico. So far, not India, thankfully. But he's targeting all these countries because these countries enjoy a considerable trade surplus with the United States. That is, they export much more to the US than they import. So Trump believes that trade must be conducted on a basis where there is a bit of balance. That is, you allow me to export an X number of dollars and I will allow you to export more or less X number of import dollars. Now, basically, any economist will tell you that this is absolutely the antithesis of free trade. Because if you understand free trade economics, it's based on comparative advantage. And countries which have comparative advantage in industries will export more. But Trump is not willing to buy that logic, and he believes that American farm products and American energy products like gas and petrol have not been sold enough in Europe. There is an old standing dispute between Europe and United States as to whether American chicken, for example, the hormone injected chicken, the genetically modified chicken, whether that is acceptable in Europe. So that is the other problem. Europe doesn't want American farm products, agriculture products, because they are against genetically modified food. So these are issues that Mr. Trump is choosing to gloss over at this point. He is just looking at the headline trade relationship between EU and America and saying that Europe should buy more. But I think the way out will be for Europe to at least buy more gas and energy supplies from the US so that they have now stopped buying or they've reduced their consumption of gas from Russia. If they can make it up with the United States, they can try and do something about it. But they really need to have some very, very tough conversations between United States and European Union on trade and investment, because frankly, China must be laughing all the way to the bank. If there is a transatlantic crisis, imagine the first few days of Trump, and the target is not China, but the target is European Union, Mexico, and Canada. Who would have thought? So that is the kind of unpredictability that Trump brings to the table.
Yes, and it's just the first week of Donald Trump back in White House. We don't know what more ripples will he create in the days ahead. Thank you very much, Ambassador Mohan Kumar, for your analysis on the subject.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's move on. Chairman of the 16th Finance Commission, Dr. Arvind Pangadia, launched the inaugural issue of the Niti Ayog's report titled Fiscal Health Index. FHI 2025. The report provides a comprehensive assessment of the fiscal health of 18 major states based on 5 key sub-indices including quality of expenditure, revenue mobilization, fiscal prudence, debt index and debt sustainability, along with insights into state-specific challenges and areas for improvement. The top 5 states in this fiscal health index are Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Goa, Jharkhand and Gujarat. The CEO of Niti Aayog, BVR Subramaniam, highlighted that the Fiscal Health Index report will be instrumental in helping policymakers make informed decisions.
Fiscal Health Index basically is measuring, how good are you in mobilizing revenue? How good are you in actually spending that money? Are you prudent in terms of what you're spending? Are you borrowing? And the debt that you are accumulating, is it sustainable or not in the long run? I think these are the 4. Are you raising revenues? Are you spending it well? And what are you spending it on? Are you actually having imbalance? And is this debt sustainable in the long run? I think that's what. And of course, then the whole thing has got compressed and then, you put states. More than the ranking of the states, what it tells you is a diagnostic on which state is going where.
The Indian Navy and Defence Research Development Organisation DRDO successfully flight tested the indigenously developed air-droppable container from a P-8I aircraft on Friday. The system will provide the much-needed capability of delivering critical stores and emergency supplies at sea during peacetime and combat operations. You're watching DD India News Hour. Still to come on the show. Meet the AI-generated Narad Muni, who will tell you the importance of the Maha Kumbh. And Indian cricketers Jasprit Bumrah, Ravindra Jadeja and Yashasvi Jaiswal have been named in the ICC Men's Test Team of the Year 2024.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Thank you for staying with us on DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. Next, all the latest from the Maha Kumbh, the largest religious gathering of the world. More than 100 million devotees have taken the holy dip, and the numbers are expected to cross 400 million mark by the end of the Maha Kumbh. And the Seva Doots, or the service personnel, are leaving no stone unturned to ensure clean water and plastic-free event. Deepika Mehto reports.
The Maha Kumbh festival has reached the historic milestone of 100 million devotees who have taken the holy dip till now. The numbers are expected to touch 45 crore mark till the end of the Maha Kumbh. But have you ever thought how the water of Triveni Sangam remains clean?
I am a cleaning worker here. Around 2,000 of us are employed here to clean River Ganga in Maha Kumbh, Prayagraj. We spread awareness that everyone should throw waste in dustbins to pick up flowers from the river. Only then you will be able to take the holy water from Maha Kumbh Sangam.
It is with the efforts of thousands of Seva Doot that the devotees are being able to get clean water from the holy dip. The Seva Doots are the service personnel who ensure that devotees maintain discipline at all times. The Seva Doots have also been deployed by the central government, keeping intact its Namami Gange mission, ensuring clean and plastic-free river experience.
Seva Doots, or the people in service, are continuously on the war footing to ensure that Confluence of rivers Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati remains clean and healthy to take a holy dip. Now that 10 crore people have already taken the holy dip, many are expected to come in large numbers, and especially as we are approaching the biggest bathe of the day, the biggest snan of the day, the Mauni Amavasya, which is scheduled to take place on the 29th. And to ensure the experience to be more smoother, to be more richer, Seva Doots are in action 24/7 to do the same. With camera person Shiv Suman, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from the beautiful banks of River Ganges.
Maha Kumbh, the largest and the oldest congregation of devotees at Prayagraj, is bringing world-class digital experience to the visitors through its museum. At the museum, an AI-generated Narad Muni himself tells you the importance of Maha Kumbh. To know how, take a look at this report sent by Deepika Mehto.
The Maha Kumbh 2025 has reached 10 crore milestone as more than 100 million devotees have taken the holy dip till day 11 of the biggest confluence of faith and devotion in Prayagraj. And now the devotees have also the chance to take a digital yatra to the Kumbh.
Maha Kumbh 2025 has already reached the 10 crore pilgrims mark, and now it is time to take a holy dip, but digitally. Let's now begin with the tour of digital Maha Kumbh.
For the first time ever, Digital Maha Kumbh offers a tour to Prayagraj depicting India's rich culture and history. The devotees can immerse in the beauty of the confluence of the river, take a tour of Varanasi's beautiful ghats, understand the history of India and its prime ministers, and the experience of churning of ocean stories through digital display.
Narayan ji, namaste. Can you tell us the importance of Maha Kumbh?
नारायण महाकुंभ मेला एक अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण धार्मिक और सांस्कृतिक आयोजन है जो हर 12 वर्षों में 4 पवित्र स्थानों पर आयोजित होता है, प्रयागराज, हरिद्वार, उज्जैन और नासिक.
So there you heard the importance of Maha Kumbh straight from Narad Muni ji. Let's move forward.
And there you saw that not only the digital Maha Kumbh has explained every aspect beautifully, but it is interactive too. One can ask the importance of Kumbh, the history, significance, and more through the help of artificial intelligence. The devotees felt afresh after taking this innovative and knowledge-filled tour.
What was the best part?
Best part was that the digital part, all the digital part is the very best, but the thing that it make in only 10 hours, it's very amazing actually.
How was it?
It was wonderful, like very nice, very nice.
What was the best part?
The whole Maha Kumbh and this digital part was very good.
It was very nice. If you want to know all about India's spirituality, then come here once. I really liked it.
The building is spread over an area of 10,000 square meters and accommodates 2,000 to 2,500 visitors at a time.
So hope you enjoyed the digital trip to Prayagraj that brings you all the ritualistic importance of Maha Kumbh 2025. What is the significance of bathing, and completely immerses you into the river Ganges, Saraswati and the confluence of Triveni, but digitally. With camera person Shiv Suman, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Digital Maha Kumbh in Prayagraj.
You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for some sporting action. In the last pool stage match of the Women's Hockey India League, Surma Hockey Club defeats Ranchi Ra Bengal Tigers by 4-2 in Ranchi on Friday. With this victory, Surma Hockey Club have set up the final clash with Odisha Warriors on Sunday. Charlotte Engelbert dominated the game, scoring a superb hat-trick, while Hina Bano pitched in with a goal for Surma. For Bengal Tigers, captain Vandana Kataria and Shilpi Dabas found the back of the net in the last quarter, but were unable to change the outcome of the game. Surma had the majority of the possession and goal-scoring chances, while Tigers struggled to defend. On to Australian Open now. Defending champion Yannick Sinner thrashed Ben Shelton 7-6, 6-2, 6-2 in the Australian Open semi-finals on Friday to set up a showdown with Alexander Zverev in the final. Sinner had to save 2 set points in the opening game, but once he won, he raced past the 22-year-old. Sinner is on the cusp of a first successful Grand Slam title defence after winning his maiden major crown in Melbourne last year. The Italian will face the German second seed Zverev, who went through to the Sunday's final when Novak Djokovic retired due to an injury in their last 4 clash. The final will be a battle of the top 2 seeds, with Zverev in his first Australian Open final. World number 1 test bowler Jasprit Bumrah, Indian opener Yashasvi Jaiswal and all-rounder Ravindra Jadeja have been named in the ICC Men's Test Team of the Year 2024. Bumrah played 13 tests and picked up 71 wickets, which was the most by any bowler. In the 5-match test series against Australia, he accounted for the dismissal of 32 batters. Jaiswal amassed 1,478 runs in 15 matches. In the 5-match test series against England at home, the left-handed batter scored 712 runs, and he also finished as the leading run scorer for India in the Border Gavaskar Trophy. Ravindra Jadeja had an outstanding start to 2024, scoring 89 runs and taking 5 wickets in the first match against England. Overall, he scored 527 runs and picked up 48 wickets. Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports India, Dr. Mansukh Mandavia, felicitated the Indian Physical Disability Cricket team in New Delhi on Friday. They won the Champions Trophy in Colombo. The team defeated England in the tournament final, demonstrating exceptional skill and resilience. The minister emphasized the government's commitment to supporting athletes with disabilities. The event was also attended by team coaches and sports ministry officials.
आपके कोच हो, आपका फेडरेशन हो, आपकी टीम हो, सब लोगों ने आपका हौसला बढ़ाया होगा। हम जीत सकते हैं, हमें जीतना है। ये जज्बे के साथ आप मैदान में उतरे होंगे। 6 में से 5 आप मैच जीत पाए, ये बहुत बड़ी उपलब्धि है। आपका कॉन्फिडेंस और जज्बा का प्रतीक है। आप सबको मैं हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं देता हूं और भविष्य में आपकी प्रगति जारी रहे, आपकी टीम की प्रगति जारी रहे और देश का नाम आप रोशन करते रहे।
Defending champion Arna Sabalenka will battle Madison Keys in the Australian Open women's singles final in Melbourne on Saturday. Sabalenka aims to become the first woman since Martina Hingis to win the Australian Open title 3 times in a row. Sabalenka is an overwhelming favourite to defeat Keys after prevailing in 4 of their 5 previous meetings, with the Belarusian slowly and steadily finding her best form. Keys will have to raise her game to a different level to stand a chance against Sabalenka. Also on Saturday, the men's doubles final sees Italian Simone Bolelli and Andrea Vasore take on Britain Henry Patton and Henry Haluvaara of Finland. Julian Nagelsmann has signed a contract extension to remain the national coach of Germany until the end of Euro 2028 football. The former Bayern Munich and RB Leipzig coach took over in 2023, initially on a short-term basis for Euro 2024. Nagelsmann said his experience at Euro 2024, hosted by Germany, convinced him to stay on for both the 2026 World Cup and the Euros 2 years later. Nagelsmann signed the extension in Leipzig on Friday as part of the DFB's 125-year anniversary celebrations. So with that, we come to the end of DD India News Hour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates on the go. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.